Hi there, in this video I want to demonstrate to you how effective Excel can be as your invoicing application for a small company. So let's get started. So in the CSV file, I've got fake invoices made, from 550,000 line items. So I'm just going to copy this CSV, all these invoices here, control all, control copy. I'm going into a brand new Excel file with nothing in it. So all it is, I've named it invoice applications, got one sheet with nothing. I'm copying those invoice templates I've got. So control V to paste them in. Okay, so now you can see if you go to the bottom, we've got just under 550,000 lines of invoices. So it's probably a couple of 100,000 invoices. So the first thing you do when you make an invoice application, it's all about database skills in Excel. So the first thing you have to do on any input is create a table. So you click anywhere inside the data, Control T, table has got headers, click OK. Okay, we just do some normal database rules. It's not really necessary for this video, but we do it anyhow just to get used to it. So when you've got a table, you must always name your table. So go to table design, let's click it there. We name it input because this is going to be input for our invoices to create our invoices. Naming convention, database, lowercase, no spaces, underscore if there's a space. Sheet name same as the table name, so table name that, sheet name that, right click a sheet, rename, input. Let's just expand all the columns so you can see nicely what the table looks like. So the next thing you do on a database is, a database is usually made up of many different tables. So I use PostgreSQL and SQLite, so I've got I think 451 tables now. Now this video we're only going to use one table, so it's not done according to strict database rules, but I just want to show you how powerful Excel is, and it can accommodate any number of invoices for a company or many companies on this one application. So when you open a table, your headers must be right. As we said, the table must have a name. Each column must have its own data type for it to work properly as well. So each table is a specialist in its own field. Each column is a specialist in its own field. So we select the column, Control 1, shortcut to do the formatting. It's going to be a whole number. So we go through each column like this. Next one, same thing. Select the column, Control 1, whole number. The name is going to be text. Select the whole column, Control 1, text. Date, obviously going to be date. Select the whole column, Control 1, text. Date. We're going to use a date that's nice and readable. So you can see how quickly we're navigating. This sheet has got 550,000 rows just about, and Excel has no problem of navigating these. You mustn't underestimate Excel of what it can do. Okay, you can't compare it to a relational database management system like PostgreSQL and SQLite and the SQL language, but still I'm going to show you now what it can do. So it's a good learning curve to go learn in Excel and then move up to SQL later. So let's get back to getting our data types right for each column. Next one, Control Shift down, Control 1 to get the data formatting. This one's going to be text. Then we're going to have the quantity is going to be a whole number again. Select the whole the column, Control 1, number, no decimal points. Then the last one, the amount. Select it all, Control 1. We're going to have this currency. Slash figure, so we make it rand. So let's just look at the summary of our table. You got to change your mind, your whole way of thinking. Most people, when they create invoices, go and input it on the invoice itself. But this invoice is going to generate from the input in this table here, in the database table. So you got to get your head around this way of thinking, and you'll see how much better it works. So we've got invoice numbers from 1,000 right up to 101,000. Varying line items. Some have got one line item in the invoice. Some have got 10. The invoices are from 2022 to 2058 because you generated fake invoices. A vast array of different product types, varying quantities, varying amounts. So now what we can do, we're going to load this to a pivot table because our invoice is going to be generated from a lot of connecting pivot tables and to create dynamic invoices. So you're going to see how quickly this invoicing system takes shape. It's actually very exciting. So you click anywhere inside the data, insert, pivot table from table range. Don't add it to the data model. We're not going to do proper database management at the moment. This is the idea of this video, is just to show how effective Excel is actually. Click OK. Select inside the pivot table. We first need a slicer because we're going to have many pivot tables, as I said, and the slicer acts as a connecting medium for all the pivot tables. So we're going to be able to we want to select our invoices from invoice number. So you right click the invoice number, add a slicer, just select the first invoice number for demonstration's sakes. Go back to our field list, click invoice number as our first pivot table. We don't want, let's just see here, we don't want grand totals off for rows and columns. We don't want right click inside the pivot table. We don't want to auto fit on update. Let's rename it. So this header is going to be our invoice number. Invoice number. Okay, let's just get the formatting right. Go put this to the edge of this cell like this. So next thing we're going to need is the invoice date. So you copy this, you select this whole pivot table, Control copy, Control V, make it the date. So you click date, and we take out invoice number because we don't want the invoice number in this one. So it's separate items in our invoice. So you can see already in a short space of time our invoice is taking shape. Already if I select, it's dynamic, as you can see. I don't know if you can see it move so fast. Alright, so this one's going to be called the invoice date. Let me just go back to this pivot table here. I want this invoice number to be more in this text area here. Alright, so that's better. So now let's rename it again, invoice number. Alright, so now what's the next thing we need in our field is we need the customer. So copy again, copy that pivot table, Control copy, Control V. We want the customer. So we don't want the invoice number. Right, and we're going to name this invoice 2. And what do we need next? We need the body of the invoice. Copy this again, Control copy, paste it down here. So now we want the body, so it's going to be the product, the quantity, and the amount. And we don't need the customer portion. So look how our invoices are already taking shape. So we just change the headers here. This will be the item. This will be the quantity. And this will be, let's just fix this. If it gives you an error, then you've got to put a space before the name because it doesn't take the same name as the table. Alright, so we're going to call this price excluding VAT. No, let's just call it amount because we first got to add the quantity times the amount to get the total excluding VAT, before VAT. Alright, so we're taking shape now. Our invoice is moving quickly. we don't like the invoice date there. We want to move it down. We want the invoice number to move above the invoice date. Okay, let me show you what I mean by dynamic. See, it's dynamic, it changes. If I choose the last 190 invoices, immediately responsive. That's how powerful this system is. So it could accommodate anybody's business in the whole world, and even if you've got 10 businesses on this one, as I said before, on this one company. So now what we want to do, we don't want any manual calculations. We only want, everything must be self-calculating. So the quantity times the amount, we want the price before that, the VAT amount including VAT. So let's go and do that. Select anywhere inside our pivot table. Go to pivot table analyze. Let's click here. Field item set calculated field. So we said we want the total. So it's going to be quantity times amount. So it's going to be total before VAT. So let's give it a name. Total before VAT. And that's going to be the quantity times the amount, So we've got our total before VAT. Now we want the VAT amount. So we change this heading here, make it VAT. And this will be the total before VAT times 15% in South Africa VAT rate. Total before VAT times 15%. So we've got total before VAT, the VAT. Now we want a total including VAT. Let's go and put that in here. Total including VAT. And that's going to be the amount before VAT plus the VAT. So let's go and get that quickly. Total before VAT plus the VAT. Let's get this right. Add. So let's make sure we got everything right. Right, looking good. There are self-calculating columns. Usual story. Let's go and rename them, correctly. So this will be total before VAT. Total before VAT. This will be the VAT amount. This will be the amount including VAT. Total including VAT. Right. And we also want all these to be currency. So let's go and change them all one by one. So the amount, this one here must be currency, value field settings, number format, currency. Okay, click OK. The total before VAT, we also want to be currency, total before VAT, value field settings, number format, currency. Okay. The VAT amount, same thing. VAT, value field settings, number format, currency. Looking good. Total including VAT. Value field settings, number format, currency. Click OK. Click OK. Right, our invoice is really taking nice shape now. We don't like this part to be, in this part of our invoice, we want it to be more to the edge, looks more professional like this. We want the customer name to move up. We want our invoice to be different style. Let's make it, we make it gray. Alright, so now we want grand totals below here, self-calculating grand totals. Copy previous pivot table, control copy, control V. We don't need the product in our grand total. We don't need the quantity. I think these are all only ones we need here. Let's check here, get it under the right column. There we are, we have our grand totals. Those together give you that. These give you this. Right, it's too close. We're going to have some invoice with many more line items. So let's move this down out the way. Alright. Let's move it a bit further because I think maybe some have got even more line items than that. So we're nearly done with our dynamic invoice. If I choose any invoice, let's just make a screen a little bit smaller so we can see what's going on. So if I choose 1000, then my invoice changes. If I choose, let's take 89,901. Immediately responsive, self-calculating. Isn't that brilliant? Of, what did I say, 500,000 invoices from 22 to year 69. Dynamic invoices, select from a list, immediately available. But now we want to be able to print our invoice. If I print it now, it's not going to look very good. You know, it's not set up or anything like that. It doesn't look too bad, but it's made up with 3 pages and things like that. So we select every area, all the areas of the invoice, page layout, print area set. Just go and look at the print view. Make sure it's 1 page. There's 1 page. Now we want to put our invoice details so we don't have to type it in all the time. So we go page layout, print titles, header, custom header. Let's call our, what shall we call our company? Our company. Let's call it our company. And we're going to have address 1, address 2, address 3. We have our VAT number. And we want our header to be, our company must be, say, larger text. Let's make it about 22. Let's make the other details of our company that we're invoicing from about, so we make it about 16. Click OK. We also need our banking details so we can be paid by our clients. Go to customer footer, banking details. Let me just get this text right. Banking details, bank account number, some random numbers, branch code, random numbers again. We want to make this red so they can see we want to be paid. Color red. Make it a bit bigger so they can see our banking details. Click OK. Click OK. Let's see what our invoice looks like now. Alright, problem. We can see here at the top our company address is interfering with our invoice. So go to margins. No problem, move it down. Here our invoice is taking shape. Our company details are here. Nicely in the body of the invoice. Our banking details are too low. We want to be paid. They must, right? And there our invoice has taken shape. So now I can select, let's go back to the view like this. Which invoice shall we print? 79,022. Select, immediately available, control print, 7922. Next one, 59, let's take 55056. Click OK. Immediately updates, no drag. So you can see this is, as you can see, it can handle, it doesn't matter how many invoices, you can have millions of invoices. There are ways of appending the reports and using external connections and things like that. And this is not even using proper database normalization, you know, because on a proper database you'll split, you know, this to a company, to an invoice header table and these to invoice item table, but we're not even doing that. This is just for people who want to have a quick system up and running, no cost, self-generating reports, dynamic invoicing. If I want to make another invoice, I'll go to the bottom. Let's make it invoice number 120,000. Make it out to myself, Nigel Crocker, and the date is today. Let's just make it today. Let's say let's copy one or two previous invoices. Pick from drop down list, choose any random one. Let's just copy this down here, make us 13, the next one. Let's say I bought 12 of these, 14 of these, 20 rand, 40 rand. Alright, let's make about 10 items we bought. So we've got random item, random price. Our invoice header, this is the invoice header portion. We copy down, control copy it down. Your ID is always a serial number following each other. Just drag it down. There's our next invoice created, 120,000. Let's go look at the invoice. Data, refresh all. Let's go to 120,000. Search 120,000. There it is. Correct adding. Everything's done exactly. I think you'll see in 1 minute we created a new invoice like this. So now also this whole invoicing system is very scalable. You can invoice from 10 different companies and have different company logos and addresses. You can you can add a payment system where you match your payments to the invoice payment. You can make a full application. And as I say, I know a lot of you watching this video are database fundies and are going to say, but you're not using proper database skills. But for the average person out there who just wants a quick invoicing system, I think this is very effective. So another good idea, you can have a quoting system. So you give quotes quickly. You've always got history of your quotes. So before I start raving too much about what Excel can do, I think I must end this video. So if you like what you see, click the like button below, subscribe to receive future videos I make, and thank you for watching.